I'm so glad to be here. It's been a while, hey? It's been a while. Whew. I'm just going to let it roll and see who we've got coming on. It is Tuesday, November 12th. It is Mercury retrograde and the full moon in Taurus. There's some crazy ass energy going on out there. And holy hell, I don't know anyone who's not feeling what's going on right now. It's a little insane. How was my day? It's been a pretty good day. I had only one client today, but I love her, and we had a good session. But I had a bunch of other stuff. I made some split pea soup, taking care of me day, self-care. Still some stuff coming up that I've had to take care of, and I'm just making my way through it. I've been sitting back, taking a little bit of a social media hiatus in the way that I'm not on my lives as much, only because I'm healing my own traumas. If anyone here follows the Black Sheep Survives, she talks a lot about family trauma and all of that going back into our roots. So I've had some stuff come up for myself internally about some family traumas with a particular family member and the distance I need to create with paused. Sorry, said I had a bad connection. So anyway, I've been healing my own shit because that's what a good coach continues to do, and that's what anyone moving forward with their life does, is they want to take care of their stuff. So I've been doing that. And in this uncovering that I've had with that particular family member, I remembered a pattern that I've had with this person. Rachel, yes, love you both, and your talks helped me a lot dealing with a lot of family trauma as well. And that's what I'm talking about tonight. I'm going to touch on other stuff too about other people's opinions, but really I'm going to be talking about other people's opinions in the sense of the trauma that they bring to our life. I have an aunt, no names mentioned, who I've had a toxic relationship with all of my life. All of my life it's been toxic. I've always had to prove that I was worth being loved with this person. And I didn't really understand the level of the toxicity between the two of us until I've been digging deep and wanting to figure out why I have this pattern of codependency. And that codependency comes from that space of wanting to please others all the time at the expense of my own sanity. And this particular family member, I've always gone to heal the relationship when she's been the one who's broken the bond. So she's all about the living up to her expectations. And when I didn't live up to her expectations, it was about shoving me on my ass. For example, I was 16 years old and pregnant. Imagine being pregnant at 16 years old. You're terrified, but you know that there's nothing you want more than to have this baby. And someone that you love and trust phones you up and tears you apart and tells you that you're destroying the family because you're bringing up old shit from things that they never healed. So I was being held responsible while I'm 16 and terrified being pregnant. This person was holding me responsible for the pain and the guilt that she had from having a baby at 16 and giving her up for adoption. But this was my problem. So this is where I was able to identify that I had become her scapegoat in the family. It wasn't until 30 years later, and just recently this spring, when I went back home to attend a funeral service for a friend, and this same family member blamed me for not being there for her, blamed her for not being there for my grandmother, when, there are all these other family members that live right in the city, but I was the one being blamed for everybody else's inability to show up. And when I tried to explain that I was in an abusive relationship for 7 years and it wasn't exactly what she thought it was, she called me weak and told me that I was a joke for being in an abusive relationship. I was weak. If people only understood the amount of strength it took, the amount of intestinal fortitude that one has to remain in that kind of relationship, unbeknownst to them what's actually happening, they'd have a different opinion. But it was that, I've been uncovering all this stuff as I post, oh yeah, she's lovely, as I post things, and she continues to mock them on social media. And I know the shitstorm it's going to cause when I block her with the family. And I don't care. I'm actually at this place now where I don't care. Because when I went back home this spring and we had this fight about my not being present, it was because she had an unrealistic expectation of me in her mind. She had developed this own idea of who I was in her mind based on all of the expectations she had set for me to achieve, and I continued to fail and let her down. That codependent part of me kept reaching and wanting to get her approval and to make the relationship better and to let her know that I was here if she ever needed me. But where was she when I needed her? Except to remind me of how much of a failure I was. And this has been such a critical relationship in my life because I was really close to this person for a long time, not understanding just how toxic this relationship was. And how I've allowed other people's opinions of me to guide my life for 46 years. So imagine, everyone has an idea of who you are in their head. Every single person has a different version based on who they are, based on their projections, their life experience, how they translate life. Think of how many people you have in your life. How many different versions of you there are out in this world. And then if we're codependent and we're trying to make everyone else happy, we're fragmenting ourselves and never really being complete with who we are. Because we don't know who we are if we're trying to live up and into everyone else's expectations. The relationship with the narcissist has opened my eyes in so many ways. And in ways that still traumatize me. I've been attacked a few times here on social media by people that I trusted. And it's sent me reeling because it keeps opening my eyes about who can I trust? Who really has my best interests at heart? Who really isn't in it for themselves? I take a lot of risk putting myself out here. I have 35,000 followers and every one of them has an opinion about who I am based on my social media posts. It's pretty fucked. Some of them love me, but man, does that table turn when I say something that they don't agree with. And then I internalize that because that's what I've done my whole life as a codependent, internalize it and try to make it better for the other person. No fucking more. No, that's what this retrograde has been about for me. Sitting back and saying no more. I have a voice and I didn't go through all of this stuff in my life to stay quiet. I'm up to good work for myself and for others, and I don't have to please everyone. And someone else's opinion of me does not define who I am. And there are a lot of bullies out here on the internet. There are a lot of bullies in our own lives. One of them is a family member of mine. Some of them are people I thought were friends. And the truth of the matter is that we never, ever really know who someone is until we're behind closed doors with them or until we're caught in a compromising situation where they don't agree with us. When it comes to the narcissist, everyone else has a different version of that narcissist. I'm an empathetic. I'm codependent. I've always been someone who wants to heal and help others heal. Some people call me a batshit crazy fraud. That's their opinion, but that doesn't mean I have to internalize it, and it doesn't mean anything about me. It speaks more about who they are than it does about who I am. And I've been sitting back after like the last few months, I've taken a few hits from people. And I've been quieting my voice. And you know what? No more. It's so hard when we have gone through this kind of abuse. And it doesn't just start with someone we date. This goes all the way back to our childhoods. Had I not been taught by family members that abuse was love, then I wouldn't have traumas to heal, that I would not have ended up in relationship with shitty men. And we're raised, I'm 46, we're raised by people of a generation, that baby boomer generation, who were taught to suppress their emotions and then toughen up, get that intestinal fortitude, suck it up, chin up, move forward. All the meanwhile, they're teaching us to suppress our traumas and not heal. And that's exactly what they've done, because that's what they've been taught. It's every generation's job. It is our responsibility to evolve from the generation before us. And I'll be damned if I'm going to continue to teach my child to stifle herself, to suppress her traumas. I know as a mother, I have brought trauma to her life because I was 16 when I had her. What did I know about anything? But if I can keep that dialogue open with my daughter about the shit that I've done, about how it's affected her, and how can we heal this? I'm in this with you. I helped bring this to you, so I'm in this cycle with you to break it. Breaking the cycle. That's my job as a parent. I know. Did I do the best that I knew how to do? Absolutely. Could I have done better? Only with what I know now. So now I know I have a daughter who's almost 30. Now I know the things that can be different. And I talk to her about that. And I only hope that she can do that for her children, should she have any. That is my responsibility. I still have a generation before me that refuses to accept responsibility for the fucking toxic shit they bring to our family. And you'll wonder why. I have wondered why there was this one family member who strayed and never kept in touch with anyone really until towards the end of her life. And it all makes sense to me now. I have her dissertation from when she was in psychology, and I'm reading this stuff and I'm thinking, she knew it. She knew it all along. We have toxic cycles, and we can break them within our family units. But there are people who will still continue to blame you as a scapegoat for all the bullshit in their lives and will not take responsibility for how they show up. Those people don't belong in your life. They don't have the privilege of your time and your energy and your love and your space. And you don't owe them an apology for it. You can just leave if they're toxic to you. What do you owe them if they're continuing to pour fuel onto the fire? You don't owe them a thing. The only person you owe anything to is yourself and to your own generational cycles that need to be broken with your children. And I still have a long way to go with my daughter. I know that for sure. And there's still so much to heal, because as I heal, I see ways that I showed up as a mom where I could have just done better, and I could have been better, and I could have loved differently, but I didn't know how to be loved myself. Rob and I will save this, and then I'll post it on YouTube, and the link will be in my bio, and you can go and watch it. I'll do it tomorrow, because this one is important. This one is important because I've been towing the line for anyone who fucking threatens me in any way. They threaten my livelihood because they don't agree with the statement I make. Go fucking pound sand. You know what? I make a statement based on my experience. I make a statement about something because it's what I believe in. You don't have to believe in it. It doesn't make me dangerous. It doesn't make me insane. There's a lot more. You know what's dangerous? Narcissists, toxic people, those who threaten others. because they speak their opinions. What's dangerous is stifling yourself to make sure that everyone else is happy, because the only one who will never be happy is you. You are the one who is always going to suffer at the expense of everyone else. And for what? Who's holding your hair back when you're sick? Who's helping you heal? Who's helping you move forward? All these people that you're pleasing? No. They don't actually care as long as you make them happy. And if you don't make them happy, watch out. And then you feel like shit because we're codependent. That's what codependency is. It's needing to take someone else's pain and transform it as your own to take it away from them. Well, if that doesn't sound like drinking poison, I don't know what does. And I'm tired of it. You know, I'm watching my country be divided over politics and over a sports anchor and his opinion about our veterans and about immigrants. And I'm watching people I love attack each other on social media because no one's allowed to have an opinion anymore. No one's allowed to think what they think, believe what they believe, without being sent to the gas chamber for it. And it makes me sad because I know that not everyone who's defending their position is toxic. They just have a belief system that they hold dear. But the toxicity comes when you don't hold space for someone else to be who they are. And you force yourself and your beliefs upon them. That's the toxicity. If I say to you, I need you to be exactly who I want you to be, and if you can't show up, well, I'm going to make you suffer. I'm going to make you hurt until you take this on and absorb it and transform it and come back and kiss my ass. That's toxic. That's toxic. And that happens more than we know. You don't think there's a difference between beliefs and perspective? Absolutely. Absolutely. But as soon as we stop allowing others to hold their perspective and hold their beliefs, we're not healthy. We're imposing our own beliefs on other people if we say you can't believe that and you can't think that and you can't see it that way. That's not how it goes. That's the toxicity. That's what I mean. When we don't hold space for someone to be who they are. Imagine, my grandparents spent over 65 years together before my great-grandmother was widowed. Imagine how many different versions of each other they saw, considering they came over from England to Canada and pioneered. They were part of the bar colonists here in our country, and they set precedent for so many others to follow. Imagine the things that they've seen in their lifetime. And imagine if they held their ground and said, nope, we can't evolve. Nope, you can't see that. There'd be no internet. We wouldn't have this social media platform to spew our opinions on or to help one another through something. We wouldn't have this if they held their ground so firmly that we couldn't evolve. My great-grandparents were two of the most amazing people I've ever known in my life because they absorbed everything that happened. They showed up on barren land, and when my great-grandmother passed away at 101, we had internet, we had sent people into space. This was a common occurrence now, not just a man on the moon. We could get from one country to another in a matter of hours. You mean we don't write letters anymore? We just type a bunch of buttons and press send and there it is? Can you imagine if everyone in the world said no to that? That's what it's like when somebody says no to your evolution. Nope, be who I want you to be because it serves me. Fuck that shit. I am so tired of this shit. I have been a chicken shit the last little while because I've been attacked by people here on social media for my opinions, for my beliefs, for my stance on mental health and how abuse affects mental health. If you don't think being in an abusive relationship affects your mental health, there's nothing that affects your mental well-being more than that. More than that. I've been scared. I've been sitting back, keeping my mouth shut, but that's not who I am. I'm not that person, that little church mouse who sits in the background and makes sure that I'm seen and not heard. I'm fucking loud. Oh, there are those sirens again. Remember all the sirens that happened in the summertime whenever I do a live? I got shit to say, and you don't have to agree with me. That's okay. We're not always going to agree. I don't agree with everything that my friends post or that people I admire and respect post. I really don't. I don't agree with everything. There are coaches here that I respect and have great admiration for, but we don't agree on everything. That doesn't mean that their approach or their position is wrong. It's just different, and it's going to appeal to a different crowd, and that's okay. We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to have a difference in opinion. But I still learn from those people because I have to open my eyes and open my heart and my mind and go, what's true about that for me? And what's not true about that for me? Is there anything about this that resonates? If not, I don't have to say anything and I can just scroll past it. Or if there's something that really triggers me, I have that opportunity to ask them if they can hold space for me to have this conversation about why this is different. Why does this not work for me? Yeah, that was like, warning, warning, no more shutting up. Listen, I have been, I don't want to say controversial. I've been a mental health advocate for over 20 years. I was speaking about suicide and depression long before it was ever a normal conversation. I lost a parent to suicide, and I had suffered my own depression and managed anxiety and all of these things throughout various times of my life. And there, as I was able to identify what mental health looked like, I was able to see the different times in my life, how it affected me. And I became aware of that. How do we know what something is if we're not willing to look at it? I know that me talking about mental health has saved lives. It's saved my own life from time to time because it's held me accountable for my own mental well-being. I'm here to tie that mental health discussion in with abuse and in with bullying and in with toxicity, because we cannot be mentally healthy if we're in those shitty relationships. They are not separate from each other. Mental health and narcissistic abuse are deeply intertwined, and I will not be quiet about that. So if you don't agree with me, do your homework. I do mine. I haven't been advocating for 20 years and don't know a thing or two about statistics. I also know that this abuse affects all of us. And some people heal from it and some don't. And some people take that abuse and become abusive themselves. And I'm not judging that. I'm just saying it's there. It happens. It happens a lot. And that's because their abuse was so terrible that it consumed them. And coming out of it hasn't been easy. And I have compassion for that. But it doesn't mean you're allowed to spew that onto me. I have a great deal of respect for survivors, but I also have a lot of protection for my mental well-being and for standing up for what I believe in. And you won't silence me. You won't silence me. I've been bringing mental health conversation into organizations and corporations who didn't want to have it and lost jobs because of it. I don't fucking care. I don't care. I know how deeply affected we can be through abuse, whether it's in the workplace, online, with family, in our own relationships, with friends, with people that we trust. And I still have compassion for people who've hurt me, but that doesn't mean that they have a place in my life. You can be toxic, but be toxic way over there in your own little world. Because I got work to do. I got a lot of work to do, and I have been sidetracked like you wouldn't believe because of this stuff. So I've taken a social media nap. Not a break, but a nap. You've seen me posting, but you haven't seen much really. And that's because I withdrew in fear. It's not the first time this year that's happened. But I want it to be the last. And I want that to be the last, so I'm holding myself accountable here. I recently came out of my own depression while managing some stuff and healing some stuff. I still showed up for my clients and showed up for my work. And that sometimes takes a lot. It takes everything a person has. Especially with this being energy work that I do, I've got to find an energetic neutral ground before I go into a session with a client. And the best part is I've got the most badass clients in the world. I really do. And we're all up to good work together. So I know I've said it a few times, you guys, where I've come back after a setback and I've said, I'm back. And I really want this to be the time where I say I'm back. Mental health is important. It takes a lot to manage that. And I think I've done a fairly good job. I've been very vulnerable and open with all of you because this is the human condition. This is what we go through. This is our life. People are assholes. I can be one too sometimes, but not maliciously. Not in order to inflict anxiety on somebody else or cause discomfort or to make them feel afraid. And I've spent enough time being afraid. And this year, along with that, I've also taken some pretty bold and courageous steps. And I've lived up and into the things that I coach and the things that I teach and talk about. And I've set boundaries and I've had hard conversations. And that's progress. That's progress. Do I have opinions? Yep. But there's a time and a place for things. And with clients, my opinion is null and void. It's null and void. I'm there for you and to help you move forward. So not a long one tonight. I'm really glad to see you guys here and thank you for your support. And I'm gonna start tying in a lot more of mental health and domestic abuse, narcissistic abuse together. This last couple weeks, I've been updating all my websites and all my profiles on social media so that they reflect more about who I am. And I used to be, I got my hypnotherapy certification in 2006. And that at that time when I got it, it was still one of those things that wasn't really mainstream or common. So it wasn't really something that I said, oh yeah, I'm a hypnotherapist. What, you make me quack like a duck? No. Now I'm owning that shit. It's been 13 years. I'm a hypnotherapist and I help you heal triggers and traumas so that you can become a badass warrior and live your life out of fear and into love. Rachel says, I know where you're coming from, and I thank you for speaking your truth. I appreciate you, and thank you for helping me through my shit. I'm just passing damage control and working on healing. Right on, girl. Keep going. None of us are alone in this battlefield. And it's learning that love is not a battlefield. It really isn't. That's not what love is about. And we're here to transform that belief system. So other people's opinions, keep them to themselves. You guys are all